times have you seen an old picture of a fallen soldier in a photo album and wondered what were they like when they were serving our country? For one Texas woman, wondering was not enough.
And she wants to encourage others to find out more about loved ones who paid the ultimate price. In this special report, Justin Early shows us Jolie Stewart's journey, finding Philip.
Well, my grandmother kept it was his service picture. She kept it on her dresser for years, and you know, this was a person who was my grandfather. I just didn't understand why we didn't talk about it more.
From a young age, Jolie Stewart burned to solve the mystery. Who was this man bonded to her by blood?
I drove everybody crazy, asking questions about it, and I was always drawn to him.
But sometimes grief can cast a shadow over the life that was.
My aunt and my grandmother, until a couple of years ago, they've been my connection. They've been my rock, and but they never talked about. We call him Big Philip.
Answers were hard to come by, but Big Philip's little brother, Pat, did shed some light on the personality of the man in the picture.
Philip taught me how to fish, taught me how to hunt.
And a budding recording artist.
Just because I gave him my life, have I committed a crime?
You know, it's funny how I just listen to his voice and I can just see him standing up here.
Gee, but it's
all of those three young men that were his friends that played in this group, they were all killed. All four of them were killed in World War II.
Philip's love for his wife and two children was unquestionable, but so was his love for his country.
He had wanted to join much earlier. She asked him not to, and he didn't.
Slowly, family eked out tidbits of his life. He was drafted into the Army in 1943. In September 1944, he departed for Europe as a replacement. And on December 26, 1944, he was attached to the 774th Tank Battalion as a tank gunner.
Once he was attached, he went to, I think Aachen was the first place, and it was at that point the Battle of the Bulge was really ramping up, and they were losing people right and left.
This war is horrible. More horrible than you can possibly realize. If anything happens to me, please take good care of the kids.
In all of the letters prior to that, he asked for prayers, and he had seen some things. You could just tell by the tone of the letters that it was a world that he was not accustomed to.
Keep praying for us all. We need the prayers more now than ever before.
And it's like my grandmother told me. She would say, every Saturday I would go to the movie theater to watch the newsreels and just pray I'd see him. And that's how she got her information.
But the next note that came wasn't from Philip. By March 16, 1945, he was gone.
My grandmother would talk about it a little bit, but it was a very painful period for her. She never remarried. She told me, she had two children to raise, and that's what she did. She got on with her life. It was that generation. Put your head down and go to work and do the right thing.
Jolie's innate curiosity led to a career as an investigator. And if she looks familiar, it's because she led the inquest into one of the biggest Texas murder cases in the past 4 years. The deaths of the Kaufman County District Attorney and his wife, and the assistant DA.
Breaking news, Kaufman County District Attorney Mike McClellan and his wife have been found shot and killed in their Forney home.
I've always been an investigator with them, so I'm nosy. I have a natural curiosity for, I want to know why. That definitely helped me in my search for answers with my grandfather, there's no doubt.
So it's no surprise Jolie kept digging to find out what happened to Big Philip.
Every now and then I would do a blind Google search, and I would type in 774th Tank Battalion. And one day I was getting ready to leave work, And I just happened to type this in, and a video popped up.
Then I was put in to the 774 Tank Battalion.
I watched the video, and it was Andy Carpenter. And it was like, for the first time, I knew my grandfather's story.
And coming up in part 2 of this report, we'll explain exactly what Jolie Stewart discovered.
We'll also show you how a group called Witness to War helped provide answers and preserves the stories of servicemen and women for generations to come.
Live from all around Central Texas, you're watching KWTX News 10.
Yesterday, we introduced you to Jolie Stewart. She's been digging for years to find out more about her grandfather who died in World War II.
But answers came when she stumbled onto a documentary featuring a man who served alongside him in the 774th Tank Battalion. Justin Early brings us part 2 of Finding Philip.
I saw the video on March 11th. I'll never forget it. Sitting in my office, like I said, I was getting ready to leave, and tears were just coming down my face.
Jolie Stewart had just pulled the first thread, unraveling the mystery of her grandfather's life and death. She discovered a documentary by a nonprofit telling the story of a man who served in the 774th Tank Battalion during World War II, just like her grandfather, Big Philip Snitches. She left a message with a woman with the group named Emily. Emily Carley is the director of the Atlanta-based Witness to War Foundation. The nonprofit captures the stories of combat veterans, and it turns out the man Jolie was watching was Andrew Carpenter, Emily's grandfather.
So when I realized that she was looking for information on the 774 Tank Battalion, obviously it piqued my interest.
Before Emily returned Jolie's call, she decided to research some documents dealing with the 774th, keeping out a discerning eye for Philip Snitch's name.
Imagine my surprise when I start looking through this paperwork and there's his name. So it becomes apparent at this point that they served in the same company, Company A of the 774 Tank Battalion.
Hi, Jolie. This is Emily Carley from Witness to War. Got your message.
It was incredible because she said in the voicemail, I have some records for your grandfather. He served with mine. And I thought, oh my God, am I going to finally learn something about Big Philip?
After years of calls from people hoping to learn about their loved ones, this was a first for Emily, a direct connection to her own family's history.
I talked to Jolie, and we just kind of started corresponding back and forth.
Because the unit was so small, finding more information about the 774th was a long shot. But the puzzle pieces kept falling into place, one of those being a soldier named William O. Klug. Carpenter explained it in his Witness to War interview. They were in Germany in 1945, and Carpenter was supposed to head out on another mission. But Klug had just returned to the unit, and fate stepped in.
Well, you never know what destiny may turn out to be, but about that time this guy walks up and he said, never mind, here's Klug, I remember his name so well, and he is a platoon sergeant. We'll send him.
So William Klug commanded that tank in place of Carpenter, and he continued the push through Germany.
On the 16th of March, 1945, Klug's tank was hit in combat. Ooh. And William Klug was killed.
And Philip Snitches was on that tank, too.
All the tanks.
So it's at this point I'm watching the full interview and realizing that not only did I have paperwork about Jolie's grandfather, Philip, that not only did I know where he had gone in the war, not only did I have record of when he was killed, but that he was killed with William Klug, who took the place of my grandfather in that tank.
That's when she told me about her grandfather was supposed to be my grandfather's tank commander on the day he was killed. And we were just, dumbfounded.
Knowing that I was able to tell Jolie that my grandfather should have actually been the one with her grandfather when he was killed was not even something I can put into words.
If not words, then an image of a young girl looking at a picture of a brave soldier whose blood courses through her own veins, a girl with questions, and now a woman with answers.
So it was all very meant to be. I feel like Big Phillip and Mr. Carpenter definitely had something to do with bringing us together, and I'm so thankful for that.
The whole experience creating a rare bond.
We're connected in a way that many people can't understand. I think that the broader impact of this experience has been to show what Witness to War is capable of.
We've all seen the oceans of faces. Apple-cheeked boys made to be men. Young women with hope in their eyes and steel in their spines. Echoes of the past that call to our American hearts. And Jolie is grateful she answered.
It's just really important for me to not let him fade into history. I hate to look at those pictures because they all look just like people, but to somebody they're special, and I never want him to be that. I want him to be special. He is.
What a story. KWTX is actually partnering with Witness to War to preserve stories of Central Texas veterans.
And if you'd like to find out more about what that organization does or to share your experiences, you can go to KWTX.com and click on the Find It button. Lots of stories out there.